everybody. My name is Gina. My story is that I teach English in Bemidji, Minnesota, and I've been teaching there since 1999. The process, the journey to the day I actually came to work as a woman was pretty arduous and painful and quite a lot of struggle involved. The actual day I went to work for the first time as a woman was like understated. It's like the day of the play. I mean, you've been rehearsing, you've been practicing, and you think you got your lines down, but you've only been doing dry runs or like cast calls, things like that, but you haven't actually had an audience. By that time in the process, I'd been dressing as a woman when I went to my therapy appointments, when I met my friends down in Minneapolis, but nobody in Bemidji had seen me in women's clothing or presenting as a woman. My experience is important because I think for a lot of people who don't have to think about gender or orientation, sexual orientation or biological sex or color, or anything, there tends to be a lack of diversity in the world sometimes, because if you're part of the majority, you never think about what it means to be in a minority.
I honestly didn't think I'd be as interested in it as I was. I didn't think it would be anything like that. I thought it would be, I kind of sit there and not really pay attention, but I actually found it really interesting, and I learned a lot from it because I didn't know a ton about it going into it.
What makes us all the same is that we're all different. There is really, if you really peel back, there is nobody who is exactly like everybody else. Even the people who are in the majority are each unique, they're each individual, they each have their own stories. I'm very grateful for the fact that I've been accepted in Bemidji, or at least tolerated. I get harassing phone calls every once in a while, a few times a year. I get stares at the grocery store. I never know if that's because they know I'm trans or just because I'm a really tall woman, and that, I've had people ask me if I played for the Gophers or if I play for the Lynx, So sometimes I think people just stare because you fall out of that, parameters of what they consider normal.
Expected for it to be really boring. I didn't expect a good poem at the beginning, and I didn't expect to learn much from it because I thought I knew everything.
I would tell anybody going through gender identity disorder or going through the transition and the real key quote I had in my presentation, I think it says it much better than I ever could, but live the questions. I used to be so afraid of the questions. I would get mired down in an apocalyptic vision of my future. Like, I can't do this because if I do, and I'd come up with these scenarios about what the future was going to be if I did, and it was always doom.
I took away from it just being more open with a lot of people. I came here for class. I didn't intend on going to it or anything, but I'm glad I did, just because you don't get to hear people like that speak very often. And like you said, coming from a small town especially, it's really an eye-opener that there are people out there like that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
I would encourage people who are going through the transition, yes, it's painful, yes, it's a challenge, but don't focus on something you can't control. You can't control the future, you can't know the future. So live in the present, do the things you need to do to be safe and healthy, and just have a trust in the universe that something will work out for you. If you don't give up and if you put positivity into the universe, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get positivity back. That's what I